What's up, traders? Going 1 for 2 today. Today ended up being a red day. It does kind of suck. However, it was small. Didn't possibly look like it was going to start off small. Looked like it was going to be a little bit bigger, but we did end up fighting our way back. And of course, that was the trade that took place after the stream was over. However, we're going to go over it here after we get through the live trade that we did have, which was HGen. And what do you say? Let's get to it. All right, traders, as always, please hit that like button. It's free for you, and it shows me that you like what you're seeing. It also allows me to grow the channel and get, push those videos out to other people that might not normally see them because the YouTube algorithm, blah, 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 blah. So as always, watching these on 2x speed, and they are time marked on the live stream. So if you want to watch it in real time and kind of review the trade yourself, feel free to go back and do that. We're going to go ahead and jump into this. You're going to see it jump up through 1850. And that's when we get interested. You can start to see we're getting further and further away from this previous resistance, which was the high of day from not only yesterday, but as intraday this morning near the bell. So get that nice big push up there. 1852, the bid came up through. It was a little bit spready, as you can see. 1852 is the bid, as the ask was at high of day, which was 1864. That ends up being high of day. And it does end up coming back down around to that 18 area. It does, I think it worked its way all the way back down to that previous resistance later in the day. But as you can see, it kept missing us by a penny or two. We kept raising our order just a couple pennies, and we did get filled there. So pretty happy with the trade overall. It was nothing, too big, and that was that. So on to our trade on ORPH, ORPH. As you can see, this thing ended up going much higher. And as we're making this video, I can't really read the name. Looks like Sepehi. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. So it looks like we had a huge move. Previous day's high was all the way down here. It was volume out of nowhere, but not quite. We didn't get in on that first candle. It actually made, I think, 2 candles before we ended up getting in. But let's see if we can scroll into the move itself here. So makes this move, and then we end up starting through that $0.50 right around 70, right? That's usually when we look to start. We got 471. We did start it a little bit smaller because I was a little skeptical that it was volume out of nowhere, but thankfully that ended up working out in our favor because we did end up building a decent little position here. And so you'll see 50, 50, 100. This was actually, for some reason, it went through as 250s, and then another 100 here. So we ended up with 300 shares. We did a 1, 1, 2, 2. And as you can see, it did try to pull back, but obviously we're looking for 50% of the move. So just to kind of show you what that would have looked like. That was one more little click. It would have been all the way down here. But unfortunately, we only got around here. And our average was actually at 499 when it was trying to make this pullback. So we were green. Well, actually, we weren't green on this move because on this candle, it was 492 was our average. And then when we got this ad after it tried to fake out, we added after that, looking for it to be a fake out breakout. When it came back down to 498, our average was at 499. So we were green. Well, I guess technically we weren't green because 499 was on the ask when the low was 498. But we were basically break even essentially. But as you can see, we were looking for that fake out breakout to then fall over and give us that move down through 5. It did not. And so we ended up cutting 75% of our position there. We took 225 of the 300 shares off, and we were curious because again, we didn't really have a pullback. Was this just going to turn into a grinder that went off into the oblivion? I didn't know, but it felt like the pressure was building up here. You can kind of see the little ascending triangle, bull flag, whatever, the 90% want to call it. And I thought this might spike, and that's what I was looking for. I was like, well, I'll keep 75 just in case it's a fake out breakout, or well, 25% of the position. And if it's not and it runs, I'll have taken enough off to recycle those shares and get my average up way higher, looking for the eventual pullback. And so we moved up, and it wasn't fast. And I was a little skeptical to even add to this. I was actually thinking about just letting it make a new high and then just using that as a stop and seeing what those shares that I had left wanted to do. But once it started to make a high, it was struggling here at 540. And then when it went up to 545, it really, really struggled as well. So I was like, I guess it's not going to try 550 just yet. So we ended up adding 125 to get even 200 shares. And that brought our average up to, I want to say like 519. Actually, I guess it couldn't be 519. Oh yeah, I think it was 519, because it was more shares than 75, and we were all the way up at 531 on that ad. As you can see, this ad was after it tried to bounce and it was completely failing. And I thought when we broke this key area that it was trying to, it was being used as resistance before. I thought we were going to get that flush, right? Which is what ended up happening over here. But it was a little bit of a fake out. We added another 100 here, so we were up to 300 shares, looking for it to bust down through. It tried to go higher. Now, keep in mind, every single addition to this on the backside here was a cut at high of day. If this wanted to run back to high of day, this was a cut, and it would have hurt a little bit. When we took this 75% off, it was, I think, a $55 realized loss, which, I mean, you can go back and do the math and figure it out. But I want to say it was $55 realized, and I was still 25-ish unrealized. So we were already down like $80, and that was before it ran up higher. And I got all these additional shares back, because now after this ad, we were up to 400, but we haven't got that far yet. But it would have been a clear cut. It would have probably been like $120, $130 loss. I'll have to go back and actually do the math, but it would have been a decent sized loss. But fortunately, it tried to go higher. It got stuffed again. Couldn't even get back up through that 531 area. And right when it got back down to that 521 area again, you could just kind of feel the bid starting to drop. Like it wasn't being held up like it was before, when it was trying to hold support here before. And so I clicked the button, and then sure enough, we got the flush right away. And unfortunately, the $5 area and VWAP were basically together at this point, and I knew for a fact that it was going to try to bounce there. We took some of the shares off. I want to say it was 200 at first at 511, and then we took another 100 off there at 508. And then we had 100 left. And at this point, when it broke down through it got to 497. When it broke through, we were basically break even on the trade. We could have took it off and been completely break even. But unfortunately, I was hoping when it came back up and retested VWAP, it would just, do a little bit of a VWAP fade. This would have been the backside. We could have rode it all the way down, because I was looking for this right here, 483. I drew this line because it was a previous resistance. It came down, used it as support. That's the line I was aiming for the bust down through 5. And I had my orders out. I had one at 488, and then I had the other one all the way down here at like 455 or something, just looking for that $half test eventually when it broke down. And we would have ended up having a nice green trade if that had happened. But unfortunately, as you can see, it worked its way back up. And I told myself if it got back through that 520 area, which was where it was trying to hold support here, the odds are it was going to try to shoot up towards high of day. I've seen it happen so many times. However, it got stuffed. And if we scroll in a little bit, you actually see I recognized it got stuffed. So I added those 50 shares back, looking for it to break down and come down and break this 5 as well as the 497 again. However, it did not. It held higher, and it broke that 522. And that was when we got out at 523. We literally top ticked this candle. However, as the trade went on, it did try to work its way back up, but it never got back below that area. So if we keep scrolling out, you can see it just held that $5 right under $5, and then it ended up making a bigger move to the upside. So was a little underwater on this one. Never really got a good pullback until over here. It was very unfortunate, that the way that we trade, we had to do what we did. And, it would obviously be nice to be able to add into oblivion until it works, because if you were adding this whole way up and you keep getting heavier and heavier, this would have worked, even though it wasn't much of a pullback. However, it's just one of those ones where it didn't work. We traded the chart. I actually felt that I traded it really well, so I'm not upset in that aspect. However, you always got to remember, this is not the play that we're looking for, right? That first play, we're looking for this intense move up into the pullback. And what do we always say? What it does after that, we don't know. So we have an idea of what could happen, because if it keeps deciding to try to go straight up, the odds are it's going to have some kind of an actual pullback at some point. And that's kind of the game you have to start playing with yourself and the market. You have to really be careful with it. And like I said, at this point, when I made this 75% cut, I'm waiting for it to make a top. I'm not going to look to play the front side of this anymore. I'm going to let it make a top, and then I'm going to look to play the backside. And if I'm wrong, I'm cutting it at high of day, because I was just plain wrong. And that's that. Fortunately, we got our ads. It was really struggling. No buyers were really stepping in here, and we noticed that. So we added to our position, and we got a nice drop, and we did make back some of it, but obviously not all of it. So can't really complain too much. Overall, the end result was $21.04, which is less than half of our daily goal. So if a red day is that small every single time I have a red day, I am not going to complain. And let me show you exactly why I'm never going to complain about that. We can pull up our live year to date. And anytime I have a red day, especially a smaller red day, because I was kind of annoyed while I was trading that, because I was like, man, this should just work. It should just work. And then it would just never work. But in the grand scheme of things, see this little downward move right there? That's what it is right there. That's what that was in the grand scheme of things. So I really can't complain. And sometimes I always say this TraderSync journal, it really kind of helps keep things in perspective. Keeping a good journal, being able to, at the end of the day, if it is getting a little bit to you emotionally, you could just pull this up and look at what it really was, right? Just, I mean, it's not even a bump in the road. That's like a little stick that you kick to the side. So that's all I have. I appreciate you guys being here as always. I appreciate the support that you guys give me day in and day out by watching these videos, by hitting the like button, subscribing, all that good stuff. So if you do have any questions or comments, leave those down below. I will always get to those. I don't think I've missed a single comment unless it was spam and then I just delete it. I'm always in the Discord. I'm always, available via Twitter as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good night. Peace.